Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because there are a million videos on milling up lumber, but all I'm doing is running a 7-inch board across a 6-inch joiner. And here I'm showing you the lip that is left over. So with a hand plane, we can just kind of flatten that out because we didn't get it right on the first try. So it's not completely flat, so I'm going to have to run it through again. But I'm just going to smooth out the edge so it runs through easier. Because if I left that lip there, it would snag and it wouldn't be safe. So here we are just running across, and you can hear a little bit of chatter. This walnut had some massive knots in it. And you can see I still have that lip, so I'll just repeat that process. And once we're smooth, then I can run it through the planer and get it all squared up. Again, there's a million videos on milling lumber, so we're just gonna kind of go past this real quick. And here I'm setting up to get ready to cut some strips, because this is going to become a bent lamination. And let me preface by saying this is my first attempt at a bent lamination. So we're going to cut these little, I forget what they measured, like 3/16 strips. And this is where I made my first mistake with this project. I cut them on the material thickness side of the 2-inch wide. And so when I glued up, and you'll see later, they slipped a little. They didn't align perfectly. You can see I already have a stack over here. But it's from a different angle, so it's better, right? And here I have the strips just clamped together to get a final reveal. The glue up was very hectic. A lot of clamps having to go into a lot of places really quickly, so I didn't really film it, but I got some footage after the fact. And you can see here a little bit where they slipped some. And here I am resawing the material since I already milled everything up. Again, I didn't want to show you all of the milling, but I'm resawing the material that's going to become the seat so that we have a matchbook seated surface. And can we all agree that my little restored, salvaged bandsaw, man, it's a trooper. It is really putting in the work. It's not happy about it, but it did the job. after resawing, obviously you're going to have rough surfaces, so I'm going to mill those down to where they came out to about 3/4, 7/8 thick, and get them ready for a glue up. And here I'm cutting out the material from some leftover scrap stock for the leg braces. And I chose a piece of just kind of a section of the leg of that curve to kind of mimic. And so I'm just roughing it out here on my bandsaw. Again, this thing was the winner, the VIP of the day. And here I'm using the piece that I use for the curve as a template. I'm just going to use some double-sided tape to stick it to it. Bring it over to the router table with my flush trim bit. Run the bearing along that. My router wasn't, or the bit wasn't large enough to make it all in one pass, so I have to make it in a couple passes. The seat materials came out of glue up, so I'm trimming those ends down so we can get to a final measurement to work off of. Here, after I jointed one edge of the laminations, I'm running them through the table saw to trim off the excess to get them to a standardized width. I wanted them 2 inches. They came out after everything was done like 1 5/8 inches. So it's not perfect. And this is not a how-to. By any means am I doing, this is how you should do bent laminations. This is how I did it. These are the cross supports that will connect the legs and connect the legs to the seat. Everything is working off of a 10-degree angle. So I have my bed on my bandsaw here set at a 10-degree angle. And this is just roughing it out. Now with my bed back at a 90-degree, I can work off of that 10-degree bevel that I put in, and I'm roughing out the joinery because these are going to have a mortise and tenon to connect the legs to these. And there's like a goofy little bit that's going to be under the leg that's still going to be visible, so I wanted to leave that so you're not just looking through it air. And here I've kind of roughed out my mortises with my drill press. See, here's the tenons and how they're going to fit up. And then everyone loves watching someone hand cut joinery or clean up with their chisel. So here you go. I sped it up for you though, so sorry. Here is the dry fit look. And here I had some tear out. A 5/8 router bit has no mercy. On something curved like this, at some point you're going to go uphill against the grain. So it's inevitable you're going to have tear out. You're going to have dings, whatever. And so here is one of many ways that you could fix this. I chose to chisel it back, cut out the bad and give me a good flat surface to work with. So then I could then come in and glue in a block of walnut and reshape it. And with any good glue up, you want to make sure there's even coverage, and you want to test fit the block before you add glue. And of course, we got to have some CA glue, because there's really no good way to clamp this on a round surface. I didn't think of that before I got this far. So I'm trimming off the excess with my handsaw. Just kind of pare it back a little, get us closer. Then finish the job off with a block plane or spoke shave. So here's after all of the roughing work. And then here is after the sanding. I've been told that leveling out the legs on a table, stool, bench, chairs, it's very intimidating. So what I do is I take my angle finder here and I zero it out on my tabletop and then move it to the surface of the bench. And then I shim up each leg until we zero out front to back, and then I repeat the process for side to side. I don't know where these playing cards came from. They've just been around for years. I don't think I played a lot of poker in college. So here I'm counting the amount of cards at the lowest leg, or the one that needed to be shimmed up the most. And then I'm going to take the same amount of cards, and I have a marking knife that's flat on one edge, and I'm going to go around at that height and mark the other three legs so that I can cut off at that point. Now that I have the mark, I'm going to trim each leg to that mark. I'm going to go to each leg after they have all been cut down and just lightly smooth them out with the block plane. Try to round over the edge so that it doesn't split later. Then I like to come back and just do a little hand sanding to just really smooth it out. This is just 80 grit. And here we are just confirming that we indeed did the right thing. I applied a first coat of oil-based polyurethane. And so we're kind of getting the first looks. So I'm sanding down the nibs with some 220. Just very lightly, just really hitting the high spots, any drips, any runs, that sort of thing. And then I'm going to come back with some 000 Scotch-Brite and apply a little bit more pressure where I can actually kind of get in and really give us a good smooth uniform surface for the second coat. And can we take a minute to appreciate my face? It was really bright out. I wasn't really that angry about having to sand. It's just really bright. It's Texas, man. I'm going to use a little bit of water to kind of wipe away the dust from the first coat, because you don't want that embedded in the second. And here I remembered I have a sprayer. And again, be easy on the critiques. I'm new to the sprayer. Jonathan Cap Moses has an excellent video on proper techniques, like proper eye protection, that I pulled out and cleaned, but it's sitting somewhere off to the side that I forgot to put on. But this is how I should have applied all of the coats. After this dries, I will apply a paste wax to help give a nice, smooth, long-term finish. And here's the finished product. Thanks for watching. Leave some comments, messages, do the things. Let me know what you think.